we on?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hello friends, welcome back. This is the second half of a video. The first one was about 20 minutes long, so I wanted to give it a bit of a break before we kept going. So I just finished dividing and potting up this beautiful sansevieria. It was all together, and I'm letting the ends heal over before I put it in this vase with my Marimo moss balls so it can then propagate its root system and be a gorgeous living centerpiece, living display, which is something I love to do with my plants. So I'm going to go ahead and put these guys aside so I have room to deal with the next part, which is my spider plant that's very sad. So that guy is sad because it keeps drying out. First of all, it's in a terracotta pot, and as many of you know, terracotta pots are one of those things that I recommend to those of you who are like helicopter plant parents, over nurturers. You want to water all the time, you want to care all the time. Terracotta is where you go. So this situation was really good about a year ago when the spider plant was younger. Now it's really not good. So you're seeing these beautiful babies, right? That's awesome. It means it's still putting out babies. Quite often when spider plants put out a ton of babies, it's because they're stressed out. They're ready to move on. And this one's actually putting out, it actually flowered as well and gave me some seeds, which I wish I could use, but unless there were some flies or bees in my room, they didn't get pollinated, so I won't be able to use the seeds. So this guy kept getting dried out, and it's looking more and more sad by the day, so I really have been needing to transplant for a while. So I figured I would do this with you. So I'm going to put these little babies aside for now. Most likely this is a really root-bound situation, so I'm going to stick my hand in there, and it's going to be hard to get it out, which is exactly what's going on. So I didn't grab my knife, unfortunately. I'm going to have to use this. And look at that. Spider plants are one of those plants that it's considered like an easy care plant. And it is for the most part. It does get a lot of, it does love humidity. So it doesn't, it gets a lot of brown edges, which can be kind of not beautiful. So I do trim the edges off of the spider plant quite often just to keep it looking green. Okay, I have to show you guys this. Listen to this. Oy. You're probably hearing the wind, but you hear all that? Okay, these are the giant roots. And I'm gonna have to use something sharper. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and tip it over. Let gravity help me a little bit. You guys see those roots? Okay. That came out really fast, but look. We're pretty root bound. That's not ideal right here. And that's why it kept getting dried out so quickly, is there's not a huge amount of soil versus the roots that are in there. So not only was the terracotta pot wicking away the moisture, there's not a lot of soil to retain the moisture to begin with. So not the happiest situation, which is why it's looking a little pale and a little bit yellow, because it just kept drying out over and over again. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I am going to repot it. Before I do that, I like to kind of give the roots a bit of a yank, because I like to loosen them up so they're not so bound up together. And actually some of these roots I'll probably just get rid of. In fact, I might go ahead and get rid of them. Just cut a few of them away. Okay, so, okay, again, this is really, they kind of look like worms or slugs, the roots of a spider plant. Okay, now that I got my thumbs in there, what I want to show you is this. Kind of tearing it up a bit. Okay, look at this. So we actually have more than one plant happening in there. See how we have, looks like 2, maybe 3 separate plants. So I'm gonna go ahead and divide those, which is gonna take a little bit of finessing and a little bit of strength. You can kind of hear it tearing a little bit. Whenever you transplant a plant, realize that it's going to take it a little bit of time to recover. Kind of think about it as when we go into surgery or we get hurt as humans, it takes us a little time to heal. So I'm really going for it with this plant, and it's probably not happy with me. So I really want to get it apart though, so that I can plant it up in separate containers so that each one can kind of live a better life. And it's going to take a second. Come on, guys. And I might have to cut it. Okay. That sounded really bad, huh? It'll be okay. Okay, and when we tear them apart, I try to, after all that, I do actually try to be a little more gentle to find the ends of the roots. Okay. They remind me a little bit of a mandrake, you know, in Harry Potter. Got like this. Ah, it's screaming. Okay. So here, this is one. So you see, this is just one of the babies, and it has its own little babies happening. So I'm going to replant this one all by itself in its own pot, which I don't actually know which pot. I might put this one back in the original terracotta pot for now. I'm gonna say that. It's probably gonna happen. I didn't actually get pots for these guys. I just mainly wanted to show you. Oh, this is the sad part. Here we go. Come on, babies. There we go. Okay, these guys came apart pretty well. Okay, so again, little mandrake. Isn't that what it is, a mandrake? Mm-hmm. Oh, and its little baby came off. And that is totally fine because they propagate so well. I am going to see it already has a little root system happening. So I actually am going to, oh, I can show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that for now. That little guy can hang out with the Marimo, and it makes a really beautiful display while it's going to go ahead and establish some roots. And in my last video, I talked about the Sansevieria is going to go in here with establish some roots. It's just such a beautiful display, and also kind of an interesting science project. If you have kids, it's really fun to watch the root system happen. Okay, so here's the third little mandrake guy. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is pot each one up. And what I'm probably going to do is maybe take this pot right here, it's a little bigger, and I'll plant one of them in here, or maybe two of them in here, and just one of them back in the terracotta pot. And I'll just go ahead and show you guys how I'm going to do that. I'll do that real quick. So I want to make a lot of space. And I should probably say out loud what I kind of talked about in the last video, which is this is a pot with no drainage holes. And sometimes I get in trouble for this, but I'll just tell you from my experience, from learning what my plants need, I often plant them without drainage holes, because what I do is I line them with pebbles, like either sand or pea gravel, and that's kind of the drainage part, the bottom part of it. And then I go on and use succulent soil, and then the other potting medium after that. And I know that a lot of people are like, don't do that because it can eventually rot the roots, but I just haven't had that experience yet, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and you guys don't have to do it, but this is me. Here I go. So I like giving it like a little foothold, and I'm gonna stick 2 of them in here. And you guys see how strong the roots are, right? So these guys will probably be happy in here for about a year or so. They do have a lot of room, but they do tend to grow pretty quickly. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up with dirt. And what I like to do when I transplant is I like to really fill it up with dirt and then press down to give their roots a nice foothold. Kind of give them like a sturdy place to start. I'm gonna get rid of some of those old roots. Okay, that one. And I'll also give it a nice watering right off the bat, since it was kind of thirsty and not super happy. I'll probably put some moss on top of this to help retain the moisture. I also like to cover up a lot of my plants these days because I had a plant kind of a breakout of fungus gnats, which is a whole other thing, which I just wrote another blog post about. And one of the ways that you can discourage fungus gnats from laying their eggs and their larvae, because the larvae of fungus gnats hang out on the top part of the soil, and they love wet soil. So I actually like to cover up my plants as much as I can, or bring them outside if the weather is permitting when I have any kind of a fungus gnat issue, because it discourages them from laying any more eggs. Okay, so that guy is good to go, and I'm gonna hang it up. I'll water it, and then I'm gonna hang it. So that just kind of gives you an idea of a spider plant transplant, and also, like I said, so it's not super pretty on top yet. I will put something there, but I'm not going to show the top. This will be hanging up above. And then again, it's a really fun way to, this is a little dirty now that I've been potting soil, that you guys can get an idea of how Marimo can make a really beautiful display while you don't want a leaf in there, sorry. While you're propagating your plants, it makes a really beautiful display together. I would keep it in indirect light. And yeah, you can do like the Sansevieria. I'm going to put a little piece of it in there and let the root system really happen as well. And then actually I was thinking of doing also this guy. So I might take that one apart. Maybe I'll do that in another video. All right, my friends, I hope you learned a little something. You can always email me with questions or DM me on Instagram. All right. Cheers, friends. Be well.